Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says Republican voters are taking the advantage over Democrats in several counties throughout the state. One America's Sinclair is in the battleground state and has this exclusive interview with the governor.
We are so excited to be here in Florida, the critical battleground state, and we are joined by Governor Ron DeSantis. Thank you so much for your time, Governor.
Thanks for coming to Tallahassee.
And I hope that you had some rest after all the dancing and energy at the Miami rally a few nights ago. Hope you got some rest there. So, Governor, we've seen massive early voting turnouts here in this state. I mean, almost half your state, 9 million voters already went out before today. But as expected, we have seen Republicans turn out in droves. What kind of numbers can you give us?
Well, going into Election Day, the total early vote, mail and in person, was 108,000 Democrat ballot advantage. Republicans erased that in 2 hours today. We now have about 110,000 Republican ballot advantage, and I think we have a ballot advantage over the Democrats in every county except Gadsden, Broward, and maybe two others that are within like 10 votes. But we have a 10,000 vote advantage in Palm Beach. We just took the advantage in Pinellas, which is a swing county. And so I think you're seeing 2 to 3 to 1 Republican outpaced Democrat turnout on Election Day.
So we already swiped away whatever advantage the Democrats had, basically. So, Governor, albeit that you were in a different position back in 2016, here you are witnessing the election of 2020. How do you feel it's the same or different going into this race?
Well, specifically in Florida, one thing that's different is when I took office as governor, I accepted the resignation of Brenda Snipes as supervisor of Broward County, and I removed the Palm Beach County supervisor. So those had been problem counties for 20 years. They're running smoothly today. We don't anticipate any problems. We think we'll get a good count. So I felt that the election was in good hands going forward. In terms of some of the issues, I think the president's in a stronger position than he was in 16. He got a lot of Republican support, but I think his support within the party is higher today than it was then. And I think he's doing much better in Miami-Dade County, particularly amongst Hispanic voters. And I think he's going to see improvement with African-American voters. And even small improvements there is really big because the Democrats count on getting 90% of those votes.
Right. And from my perspective, that to me is the biggest difference. It's who is voting for who in 2020. And President Trump seems to have won over the Latino votes, the Hispanic community. And Biden does not have the same support that Hillary Clinton maybe had back in 2016. Now, I think you brought up an interesting point in one of your earlier interviews. You said that this community, the people that escaped from socialism countries, they're the ones that know the threat that socialism and Marxism poses. They know it best. They had parents or grandparents that escaped from this kind of regime. So these supporters, they're supporting President Trump because of the fear that Joe Biden's real agenda will have for our nation. Do you think that Biden having someone like Kamala Harris as his running mate, is this what alienated so much of that community?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. One, Biden has no charisma. Obviously, he's a weak candidate. Trump is very charismatic and draw massive people. So that's just, you would rather be Trump than be Biden, apart from the politics, just their personas. But then I think putting Kamala Harris was a huge unforced error. She's not a good candidate. Affirmatively, she's not drawing any votes, but I do think she's repelling votes because people look at Biden and say, wait a minute, this guy may not last for 4 years. He's 78. To put Kamala in there, who's actually graded more left than Bernie Sanders in the Senate, when you start talking about these Cuban-American, Venezuelan-American, Nicaraguan-American voters, even if it's not them as their parents or grandparents, this is something that's real on a personal level. And I think Kamala has played very poorly in Southern Florida.
Absolutely, and that's also what we're hearing just being here for 2 days. Now, Governor, I want to touch on the pandemic just for a second here. You were very harshly criticized for your handling of reopening all 67 counties here in the state of Florida. You made a comment saying we can't burn down the village in order to save it. And now that's a comment that is being honored and used by your critics. What would you say to the mainstream media right now, and more recently to Joe Biden, who called your handling of reopening this state's economy irresponsible? Governor, what would your message be? What are they missing here?
Well, I think Biden's irresponsible for advocating lockdowns. In Florida, all 67 counties have in-person schooling for kids. public school, private school, charter school. Biden would close schools. That would be catastrophic. It would cause huge damage. What he's done to try to say we're going to shut down the economy, Europe did that. Remember, they were pointing to Europe to say that was what happened. That was good. And what is happening in Europe? You see massive spikes. And so I think we've done it in a way that is much more in tune with the science and the evidence, but also understand, one virus is not the sum total of everything involving health, and obviously not the same thing, the sum total of everything involving society. So people are leaving other states to come to Florida because of these other states' lockdowns.
Hey, I'm from New York. I know that. I see it too much. Now, Governor, do you think we're going to be able to have those votes for the state of Florida by tonight? What's your prediction?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. So all the early votes and mail votes get canvassed before Election Day. Mm-hmm. So those will be reported between 7 and 7:30, depending on the time zone. And then the rest of the votes will be counted. So we'll have a result tonight.
Absolutely. Well, it could still be a nail-biting race for the state of Florida, but we are in it for the long haul. Thank you so much, Governor, for your time.
Great. Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Visit OANN.com for immediate access to all the clips you've been waiting to see.